So last week, I ended up making a fool out of myself due to making a video on Alibaba right here, right? Alibaba does not want to drop. I posted this on August 20th. Speaking about the fact that there was an earnings failure that was going on of Alibaba. As I bring it up right now, it was happening on this particular day right here, right, where the market pretty much pulled it down in the midst of its earnings being released overnight, and then ended up recovering all of it come cash session, the US session at least, and then aftermarket opens up, and we start trading way lower. I can maybe even catch it better for you guys here. Let me move this over because there was a gap there for the overnight market, but if we look at it right here, right, we start pushing even higher after that video in aftermarket, and then suddenly it just starts selling off. And then Friday there was a subsequent sell-off, which was very aggressive. Alibaba finished at its lows, and then over this weekend we end up pushing even into more lows. So it's gone pretty much straight down since I made that video, very, very aggressively. Pretty much down, what are we looking at here? 13%. 13%. And now the thing is though, like this move right here that we saw overnight, it was unexplainable. There was no news. The follow-up movement that we got during the cash session, right? This was Thursday overnight, and the Friday opens up over here. Still, there was really no news, and as far as I know, the overall market was, at least the SPOs were green on Friday. So there wasn't like there was that much pressure. But then finally, tonight we actually get a reason for the further decline, which was the fact that pretty much Alibaba is looking to raise more money, a significant amount of money for their AI efforts. And as we bring up right here, so this is a news article here that Alibaba shares slide after $10 billion share sale offered at a sharp discount. I think that sharp discount is an 8.4% discount to Friday's closing price, right? So Friday's closing price, right, was about 119, let's say. And then they're selling all those shares at a 9% discount, which we need more space on the chart to actually find it. 9% discount. So they're selling all those $10 billion worth of shares basically to these investors at around, I'm sure someone did the numbers out there already, but 108, 109. Okay. That led to a further push. Now, I think it's not too far-fetched to say that the reason why we've seen this move right here is because that information was known by some market participants. And obviously, if you are one of the big dogs and you're looking to take part in that offering that Alibaba will offer, and you knew that it was going to be announced based on the closing price of Friday, it would be in your best interest for Alibaba to be trading at the largest discount as possible going into that Friday, right? 9% of a 130 close is way different than 9% of a 119 close, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this right here, this movement was done due to some of those investors literally shorting the stock down in preparation for this offering to go public and for people to know about it. And obviously, it introduces more supply. First of all, it does two things. It dilutes current shareholders. And then second of all, it introduces more supply into the market, which can lead to more selling pressure. Now, what's interesting of all that being said now is we've hit these lows at overnight session about 112, 113 or so. Still slightly above what that discount rate would be, what the big dogs would be buying in at. And since then, we've actually managed to rally up higher. Let me just move this on over here to make sure I'm not blocking anything. We've managed to move from 112 to 118. We've actually even scratched the surface of being green on the day in some moments. Towards the peaks here, we were green on the day. So that's pretty interesting, You might argue, some people might argue, well, maybe this is simply a matter of just, buy the rumor, sell the news, but in reverse. But there wasn't really a rumor about this happening, right? Unless you were to say that this part of the action was the rumor, but clearly this was, if anything, just people getting ahead of the news, non-public news, more importantly, right? So I do find it interesting that Alibaba is showing strength here. The trade that I initially put on, which was an earnings failure trade based on the closing price over here, I still have that trade on. Some of you might argue, well, should I not have been stopped out, considering that the stop out would have pretty much been the prior day's close, which is right there at 128. Yes, you are correct. That is the official stop had I been holding shares. But with Alibaba, I actually was holding a back spread. This is how the back spread looks like, by the way. We are on the left side of this right here. We did collect a credit for this back spread, and I've briefly discussed this in my previous video, where we are essentially giving up any upside if we're correct on a moderate rally. A moderate rally would be somewhere here, but we're protecting our capital if we were wrong, which we have been wrong so far, or we will make money if we're very correct on our assumptions. Since we've been wrong, price has gone to the downside here. And if we look at our P&L here, I'm actually down 246 on this on the back spread, which is not much. You could see that the position, again, you might be led to believe it's a very small position here because it only has a market value of 753. The position can obviously balloon to much higher because first of all, the losses can be extreme, to the thousands, as you could see here. And then the gains can also be pretty extreme if it runs up. So don't let that market value kind of make you believe that it's a small position, because it's not. But the losses are small right now. And that's why I'm staying in the trade, because the gamma is very small. I'm not making much if the price continues to drop. And I'm not making much if the price continues to go up, actually. If you notice here, gamma only really begins to ramp up for me about at 130, right? That's also going to help pick up my deltas. As it stands right now, it's not really doing much to my P&L. Changes in volatility will make a difference to my P&L. The price movement, not so much in this current range, which is why I have it on. Now, you might also see that as days will go by, obviously, I run a risk here where if price were to go up, my losses would be more significant on this little moderate rally here, which is why I would probably have to take this position off or restructure it if I'm still bullish Alibaba. But as it stands right now, I'm kind of in this weird little bucket of time where I can kind of leave it alone. It's okay. It's not really costing me anything to hold it for an extra couple days until I see how Alibaba digests things. Now, one thing you might have noticed, though, when I brought this up is that I did, what was it? I might have actually been misreading these positions to you a second ago. So the actual calls, the actual back spread, I'm currently actually just slightly positive $17 on. I did buy some naked calls that expired this Friday. As you see here, this was a $1,000 position, naked calls. The reason why I got into that one is strictly to just try to play off the idea of there possibly being a news failure here, right? Of us possibly finishing strong off the back of negative news. Obviously, the sale of all those shares at a relatively big discount to the market is negative news. We've been holding pretty strong throughout the day. The markets, NASDAQ is trading not that great so far, but Alibaba's holding up pretty well. So I decided to get my feet wet here. I opened up a naked call position. It's like a $1,000 position, so it represents less than 1% of my account risk. Obviously, it's down at the moment, but the calls themselves, this was what the video was based on. I'm actually completely flat so far on that trade, okay? So even though Alibaba is down like 13% from when I entered it, I'm actually have a zero loss on that particular trade so far. And I'll keep it on since it's not really costing me anything to continue writing it for the time being. It's also worth noting, it doesn't really matter too much, but Michael Burry did have some comments to make about Alibaba on his Substack last night, in particular that he was interested in moving some capital back into it in about a month's time or 2 months' time. He was previously an investor before he sold out. I think he sold out right before it ramped up, and he's been looking to get back in, but I think with the news from last night, he made a few comments about it, basically saying that he's not a big fan of the fact that a lot of companies are taking on a lot of debt to fund their AI efforts, and Alibaba pretty much just joined that pack. And he's super against it. And now he actually sees Alibaba only being interesting if it drops to half of its value. Now, I don't mind reading stuff like that because it then gives us less reasoning to explain as to why Alibaba is trading so strong today in light of that news. Michael Burry is not the only person on Wall Street that is thinking along those lines, that might have been looking at Alibaba, were considering it, and now due to them taking, well, in this case, selling more shares to fund the AI efforts, might have turned off some investors, but it looks like it hasn't been enough to really push the stock any lower because we're holding up pretty well so far. Now, this is just the day, and the day's not even over. We still have 2 hours left in the day, and a lot of things can still change. Alibaba could finish 3-4% down on the day and negate any sort of positive outlook. Or this could be a sign that, hey, maybe that earnings failure that we saw there was valid. There was strength in Alibaba. Was a wrench thrown into the whole plan with the whole issuance of shares? Yes. It's obviously not going to be, the market would never see that as bullish news, even if there was an earnings failure, right? There has to be a reaction to that news, which is what we've been seeing on Friday and today so far. What I would love to see, obviously a strong close here in the green to make it a valid news failure. And then over the course of this week, if we can somehow manage to get over that earnings failure line, I mean, that to me would be like super bullish if we can negate the share issuance that is currently being a burden on the stock. And that's the whole purpose of this video, is to kind of just shine a light on a situation that's going on with Alibaba and to present an opportunity that might arise if it continues to push up, especially when we consider the fact that the markets are weak today, especially AI stocks, right? And so Alibaba's issuing all these shares to fund their AI efforts, but AI today, I mean, SMH is down 2.2%. If we check out SOX is down 2.45%. I mean, even the big dog like SanDisk is down 6.25% on the day. So obviously it's not in favor today. So let's just think about that. AI is not in favor today. Alibaba issued all those shares for AI, but of all that right now, they're currently pretty much flat on the day. I mean, as I make this video, they continue to go down actually, as you see here. But I'm just throwing this out there in case, there is a strong finish to end the day. Because so far, it's impressive that it's been holding up on a day like today. But that's my video. That's all I wanted to share with you guys. If you found it interesting, leave me a like, subscribe for more content such as this one. Other than that, thank you so much for watching.